Hey everybody, so I just want to give everybody an update on some of the non-historical stuff, some of the Marvel and Infinity stuff that I'm working on in between doing French Indian War miniatures. And this is one that I've been dabbling with for a while. This is the Hulk. Quite happy with the way he came out, although I had this is a bit of a learning sculpt for me because, as I mentioned to you guys, I was wanting to do some comic painting with doing some inking. Now I did do the inking on the pants here. You can see I'm grinding this motor here as I'm showing stuff here, but so you can see how I ended up doing the black ink. So that's the black acrylic ink. It was interesting to work with. It does have a drying time, despite it being acrylic and water-based, that's significantly longer than working with paint. And if you do try to put paint over it or do anything like that, it actually bleeds into it really quickly. So there is a technical experience component to working with it. That was interesting. I found, and I, in all honesty, I suspected this before I started the project, and it proved to be true. But I found the style of miniature of the Hulk with really having a lot of large flat surface with curved edges with the muscles that are going to be shades of green to be a little difficult to try the inking with on the skin. And when I tried it, I wasn't happy with the result. I started on one of the feet and I just wasn't happy with it, and I abandoned it pretty quickly. I kind of in doing a two-dimension painting, like almost like what you would view as two-dimensional from a comic on a three-dimensional sculpture, it has its challenges, I mean, visually. And you almost have to, in some ways, it doesn't even matter whether there's sculptural detail, because you could just paint it in, in some cases. And I just found that I wasn't really that happy with it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually really happy with the way it came out on the shorts themselves. I found, but I also didn't have a ton of variations of purple in it, where I did with the green already underneath. And so yeah, so I'm actually going to experiment a bit more with it on some of the other characters in different areas. And but I am quite happy with the way this guy is going to actually look on the table. I really like the way his classic hair conversion came out. I painted it a bit of a darker green with the black underneath, and it just, yeah, it kind of reminds me of the comics a bit, so I really kind of like that. There is a little bit of challenge with the kit in that, I'm not like the absolute best modeler, but I did do some green stuff and to try to hide some of where the joins are between the pieces, but there was one on the shoulder. I didn't hide it, so you probably saw it very clearly, like actually on the second part of the demo. There's a little bit of a line there, but I'm not going to sweat it too much. I love the way the green and the purple pop. I think he's going to look great on the Marvel board. Next up for the Marvel stuff is, I'm not sure if I showed this only on the Musty Wargamers page or the Marvel forum, or whether I showed it here. I honestly don't remember, but for the Marvel stuff, next up is going to be M.O.D.O.K, and I have a little bit of a conversion for that too. It's not glued yet, but I got some acrylic rod, and rather than having him on sort of his smoke that comes with the set, I'm going to have him just floating on this piece of acrylic rod on there. And I am going to do a little bit of the comic stuff again, like I did on the shorts there for this one, but I will have to determine where and when I'm going to use it. I think for sure I'm going to use it on the purple on his arms and legs like I have with the shorts there, but I don't think I'm going to use it on the big flat areas of the chair. I think I'm going to still do a fade with the airbrush and some other like shading in there. And so he'll be brightly painted, and he's going to be, I have a reference that I'm going to use. We're going to try to do a real old, I think it's one of the first times he was introduced. I have some comic plates for that I'm going to use. And that should be fun. Hoping to get some games in for this soon, and that's why I'm painting some of the miniatures that I've got so far. I've got them primed to be able to play games with my daughter, because one of my oldest daughter, who has played a little bit of Warhammer back in the day with me, asked to play some games and some miniature tabletop games. And I guess while I'm talking here, I'll just put them back up. and so I decided that two games that I thought she might really like, because she likes the fictional stuff, would be the Marvel game, because we're big Marvel fans. But then also, I'm going to be playing some Infinity with one of my friends that we talked about since last year, but we're finally, I think, going to be getting around to a game. But I also decided, since she wants to play some tabletop games, and we're playing some of the introductory scenarios for Infinity Operation Ice Storm, just to get the basics of the rules down again, I thought maybe I will paint a little more Infinity so I have a second force, just a few more miniatures where we could have factions go against each other at the house here. And so I'm going to pan and just show the miniatures here that I'm going to be painting. So here I have essentially the Ariadna, I believe it's Ariadna starter, and they have miniatures from a number of the different troop types. There's 3 that are grunts, and so that's this one, and this one. There's, I believe, there's a ranger, a Minuteman, and I believe this is a stealth kind of character. I don't remember the name. I'm not sure if they're called hard cases or something like that. But they give you a bit of a splash of different, miniature types. And I'm going to be painting these up. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these or if my daughter will, but I would just figure I'll let her pick whichever one she wants. These miniatures, one of the things that I really love about Infinity are the miniatures. They're probably, for modern produced miniatures, not old Hammer style miniatures, but for modern produced miniatures that are non-historical, more like fictional, these have to be probably my favorite miniatures to buy and paint. I really do love them. They're really great to assemble, and also I find that just in general, just the level of detail is really quite amazing. One of the things that I really like about this force, and the reason why I kind of chose this one, is that it reminds me a little bit of the futuristic Marines and Aliens. At least these type guys here. The Ariadna faction, they have like all kinds of different miniatures, but these ones in particular, like the grunts, they really remind me of that style. And so when I paint these up, I'll show here just a couple of the miniatures that I've showed off already that I painted last year. And that would be like this one. And this one. So these are the Panel Oceania, and this would be like your standard kind of trooper. I believe it's called I think they're Fusiliers, actually. Fusiliers. This is an Orc, one of my favorites that I painted last time. This is a heavy infantry unit, so it's got a bit or like an exoskeleton heavily armored unit. These are really, in my mind, very comic, futuristic looking. I'm going to be painting the Ariadna brightly too, like they'll be bright in like a comic style, but I'm going to be painting them more like they're typically painted, and that is with traditional like military colors. So they're going to have camouflage and greens and drabs and like all that kind of stuff. And so it'll be a very strikingly different paint job from the ones that I just showed there. And so I'm kind of, I'll be interested. That'll be a learning experience. I don't do a lot of camo, to be honest. I haven't done a lot of camo. And so this will be actually a good learning exercise. So yeah. That's what's up on the painting table. And once I finish this, I'm going to be doing a couple Marvel characters, and I finish this, then I'm going to be going and doing the officers on horseback for French Indian War that I didn't do. And then after that, for French Indian War, it'll be doing the Canadian Marines. But yeah, I'll do another video talking more about them. Okay? Take care, everybody.